Yes, there is a wrong way to bullet journal, and yes, I have fallen victim to it myself. So what is it and how can we avoid it? Well, it turns out there are at least 6 things that you could be doing that mean you're bullet journaling wrong. I want you to get the most out of your bullet journaling, and you're not going to if you're doing any of these things. So let's unpack these 6 potential enemies of an effective bullet journaling practice. Our first enemy is letting our bullet journals become glorified to-do lists. This often comes from bullet journaling on autopilot. We're logging our tasks, our events, our notes, and then just getting caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. We're not taking time to actually reflect on our bullet journals and considering, do these things actually need to be there? Are they things that I need to get done? Should I keep them in my bullet journal? We have a couple of solutions to this. One is to actually add notes about your thoughts and feelings into your bullet journal. I find that if you're just adding tasks, it's more likely to become a glorified task list. And our second solution is to take the time to reflect. We do have a separate video on reflection in your bullet journal, so make sure to check that one out if reflection doesn't come easily to you. Our second enemy is letting perfectionism hold us back. You better believe that I have had instances where I've been too nervous to either put something in my journal or even start one, given the fear of messing up. FOMO. This fear definitely comes from perfectionism. We don't want to put pen to paper because it just feels so permanent. And what if we muck it up? Another way this happens though is waiting for the perfect idea or constantly searching for the perfect layout, to the extent where we delay getting started or delay so much that we never get started. Again, our solution to this one is twofold. The first one can be a little bit harder because it's more of a mindset change, but it's allowing ourselves to be learners. Even if we've been doing this for a while, you don't have to have the exact right layout the first time around. In fact, it's going to be way more likely that you're going to get to the right layout faster if you set up a bunch of wrong ones. By setting up the wrong layout, it gives you an opportunity to reflect on what did or didn't work about it, and you can take that information forward when you design new layouts. Over time, through various iterations of the layouts, you'll get to something that more closely resembles the thing that you really want. Our second solution though is to share your mistakes in a place that feels safe. By sharing our mistakes and seeing the mistakes from others, it gives us that feeling that we're not alone. While the lovely images that we see online of bullet journals are excellent for inspiration, and I do totally value those, there is something really important about seeing people's stuff-ups as well. That's why I like to share mine on my channel. I don't ever want you to feel like my journal is absolutely perfect and we should strive for that. That isn't realistic or healthy. But if you needed a space to share mistakes, we do have a space on our Discord server completely dedicated to that. Not only does it help you get that off your chest and get support from like-minded people, but you also get to see that everyone makes mistakes in their journal. It's just part of the process. Our third enemy that means we might be bullet journaling wrong is making our bullet journals performative. This often comes from the comparison trap. They say that comparison is the thief of joy, it is also the killer of creativity. But when we see all these lovely aesthetic journals online and start to think that that's the way they have to be, we can start to strive to make our journals look like that too. This isn't even necessarily a conscious thought. We just kind of do it because it looks like that's what we're supposed to do. Don't get me wrong though, there is nothing wrong with wanting your journal to look nice. I know that if my journal doesn't look nice, I'm not going to use it, and that's a really big problem. If you're not using your journal, then it's certainly not being done correctly. But of course, we do have a solution here. Now, solution is to get clear on your purpose. Why are you keeping this journal? What did you want this journal to do for you? And once we're clear on that purpose, we need to consider whether our actions in the journal align with that. For instance, if you wanted to keep a bullet journal because you wanted to get more done with the time that you had, but you're spending all of your time trying to make your layouts more decorative rather than getting stuff done, that's a problem. But if decorating your journal means that you like the way it looks and you're more likely to actually come back and use it, then heck yeah, decorate your journal, then you're doing it right. We want your journal to fulfill the purpose that you have for it, whatever that may be. So whether that is decorating it so that you actually use it, or if it's keeping it super minimal because the decoration is distracting. We just don't want you to be doing something in your journal because it aligns with what somebody else's purpose is, or what someone else thinks the journal should be. This brings us to enemy number 4, which is not making it your own. This is another instance where the comparison trap can get us, just in a slightly different way. We see someone else do something in their journal, so we want to try it in our journal, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am a big believer in taking inspiration from other people. The issue comes when we're seeking out these things to include in our journals, but not adjusting them to our needs. For example, there was one instance where someone copied my gratitude log word for word, including writing my partner's name in their version of it, and like, I'm glad that you're grateful for Vogel too, but bippity boppity back the truck up Biscuit because he's mine. But I digress. Our solution here is to aim for inspiration rather than recreation. And if you are taking inspiration or recreating somebody's layout, consider why it is you want to have it and what you might need to do to it to make it your own and make it fit your needs. We want you to figure out what you need, when you need it, and for how long you need it. That being said, it is totally okay to put something in your journal because it's pretty, because heck yeah, I'm all about having a pretty journal. Enemy number 5, though, is not updating your journal for changes. You are not the same as you were 5 years ago, or even 1 year ago, or probably even a couple of months ago. So your journal should reflect that too. As we enter new seasons of our lives and leave others, the way we want and need to use our journals will change too, which means we need to make changes to it so that it can fulfill its purpose. What I'm not saying here is that you should change things in your journal just because they've been the same for a while. If it's still working, then it's totally fine to keep in the same format. But there are going to be spreads and layouts that serve us for a season, but don't need to be with us forever. The solution here is to take stock during your migration processes, whether that be monthly or yearly in particular. What actually needs to come forward with you into the next season? Are these things still relevant? Do they need to be tweaked or changed so that they can be more useful? Or can we scrap them altogether? It is fine to let go of layouts if they are not serving you or if they're not working the way you had hoped, and it is certainly okay to let go of ones that just become distractions, because we want you to be able to spend your time intentionally. Enemy 6 is probably the worst of the bunch, and that's not taking action. If you're anything like me, you may be a sucker for a good task list. Having a list of all the things that you need to get done can be very satisfying, but what's even more satisfying is actually ticking them off. If you're writing all of these things in your bullet journal, but never actually doing any of them, then you might be bullet journaling wrong. This again comes back to your purpose. What did you want your bullet journal to help you do or achieve? A good example of this is with goal setting. It can feel so good to have a plan laid out for how you're going to approach a goal, and it feels like you've made progress once you have that plan. But if you never actually do any of the steps, the goal doesn't get done. The same goes for reflection. What's the point of going through all of your tasks, events, and notes and considering whether they are vital and whether they matter and all of this if you're not actually going to do anything with that information? If you're just going to move all of them forward, you're not actually going to be reclaiming any time. You haven't done anything with the information that you gained from reflection. The easiest way to word the solution on this one is just do it, but I don't know about you, I've never really found that to be super helpful advice. Not taking action on your tasks, though, is another instance where reflection can help. It gives you an opportunity to check in and say, okay, this isn't getting done. Why isn't it getting done? What's holding me back from getting it done? Can I make this easier? Can I make it less of a challenge? Do I need help with this thing? Asking any of those questions gives us more insight about how we could actually get the thing done, or if we actually need to do it at all. You may have noted that all of the enemies that we talked about really come down to 2 things. Either 1, you don't look forward to coming back to your bullet journal and thus don't use it, or 2, your journaling practice isn't aligned with your purpose. Which of these enemies have you fallen victim to? I know that I have had some issues with all of them in the past, and in fact, there was a period where I was bullet journaling wrong. In this video here, I talk more about how I came to realize that and exactly how I was bullet journaling wrong, so click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.